This is the plaintiff, Leslie. He says he's done the defendant's taxes for 5 years, and he laid out some money for her when he had to make an amendment to her returns. The woman promised to pay him back. She now refuses, and he has no other recourse but to sue her here for the $671 he's owed. This is the defendant, Tamara. She says the plaintiff royally screwed up her tax returns, and when they deducted $1,152.65 from her bank account electronically, she freaked out. The plaintiff agreed to pay for his mistakes, and she owes him nothing. She's accused of taxing the taxman.
All parties, please hit the ring. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Leslie, you're suing Ms. Tamara for $671 that you fronted on her tax liability and she refuses to repay. You're an accountant?
Yes.
And you've been doing her taxes how long?
From 2018. We never had an issue.
Okay.
And
how long have you been in practice?
I was an auditor. I came to this country in 1981, was in public accounting, and then I went into my own in 2004.
Okay, are you a CPA?
No, I'm just an accountant.
And then, so tell me what went wrong here in her taxes for 2021?
Okay. She came to my office on February 21st.
Of 22?
2022.
Right.
To do her 2021 taxes.
Okay.
She was possibly the first client that came. Every year, we get a new software to prepare the taxes.
A new software?
Yes.
Okay.
So, you got to get familiar with it. So she came, I did the return. She was not quite happy because she had to repay the government.
Why? Okay, hold on. You did the return and she wasn't happy because she wasn't getting a refund?
That's right.
She would have to actually pay money.
Yes, she was getting a refund on the New York State of $443, and she had to pay the federal $671. Subsequently, the return was prepared in 21st. It was accepted by the federal and New York State, and she keep calling me that the government ain't taking out the money. I'm
the
worried.
671?
Yes.
That the IRS hadn't taken out the money from her account?
Yes.
And it was supposed to be taken out of her account because that's how you filed it electronically. You said this is the account number and the routing number and whatever else.
Correct.
But the IRS just hadn't gone around to collecting.
That's
all
correct,
right?
Your Honor. So I keep telling her, I have no control over that. The IRS, because of the pandemic, maybe they are in backlog.
Oh, you think? Because not only are they in backlog, but then they keep sending letters saying you haven't paid your tax. No, you haven't cashed a check. You know. All right, go on.
She keep telling me, they didn't take the money out. She don't want a problem with the IRS. I don't want no problem with the taxes. I said, Mr. Maher, there's no problem. Your return is a very simple tax return, but you still keep bothering me. Since they didn't take it out, and I looked in the return. Let me check and see if there was something I did wrong or whatever. Everything was fine. Then I realized on the New York State return, I didn't check a box that says, even though I said she's a county resident and a city resident, they have to check a box that says she occupied an apartment. So New York City taxes was not taken out. So I filed it because I didn't bother to call her to tell her I'm a file a return.
Well, you should, because she's expecting 440 and she didn't get that then,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but she keep telling me she didn't get your refund, she didn't want a problem.
Right, but if she's telling you I didn't get my refund of 444 and she wants it, and you realize you screwed up, and now you need to check a box, and now that you check the box, that changes her refund to what?
It changed her into a liability of
right, so instead of getting 444, she's going to have to pay how much?
The New York changed, so she has to pay about 262.
Okay, so instead of getting 444, which is what you told her,
yeah,
she has to pay 262.
Correct.
All right, now that's what she owes, but you kind of screwed up
Yeah, but
because you
Your Honor,
didn't check the box.
That was not the issue. The issue
Now,
was...
we're going to get to the federal
Okay.
money right now, but
Yeah.
we're talking about why she's mad. All
Yeah.
right. So then what happens with the 671? The feds don't take it out of her account.
She was not mad about she has to pay. She didn't know about this.
Well,
She
why
was
would,
mad
okay,
about the
so then I have a
671.
better question. Why wouldn't you tell her?
She keeps telling me, I'm worried about my taxes. I want my taxes.
Well, then that's not a reason not to tell her. That's a reason to tell her. If you know that you made a mistake on the New York taxes that you corrected, and you know you have misled her into thinking she's going to get a $444 refund when in fact she has to pay $262, why would you not tell her that?
Well, I told her after the fact.
Why wouldn't you tell her that as soon as it happened and you realized it?
Because I feel she's going to just come up with a...
Yeah, with good reason. She's going to get mad at you. All right, so you don't tell her. You hide it from her, and then what?
I went on the April 18th. The IRS did not take out the money. So I told her, I'm going to pay this money,
What?
$671.
Wait, what? You're paying it out with your funds?
Yes.
Why?
So that she does not get any penalty or interest because they didn't take it out. She's worried. I said, I will front the money. You pay it back to me. So I paid it out of my funds.
But she would never have to pay penalty or interest if you can prove that you filed it and gave the routing number and the bank account.
Correct. But
Right, so there's never a chance that she would pay penalty and interest, so why would you pay it? Do you do that all the time? Because I want you to do my taxes. Are you paying everybody's taxes and then
No,
hoping they pay you
it's-
back?
It's probably maybe the second time I've done
Yeah,
it.
why would you do that?
But I just don't want to create any other additional issue with her.
Really, at this point, when you paid that $671, did you know that the New York thing was wrong?
No.
When did you find out that the New York thing was wrong?
April 20th.
Okay, so 2 days later, you find out the New York thing is
No.
wrong, and then you don't tell her. And why don't you tell her? Because she owes you $671, and you want her to pay it.
No, I told her after the fact. I was asking
When
her,
did you
but
tell her?
I was
When did
demanding-
you tell her?
I tell her around April 20th that I...
No, April 20th is when you found out. You didn't tell her when you found out.
that's
You told her
when I
after the
found- that's
fact.
when I found
So
out.
it's not on April 20th when you tell her. When did you tell her?
I think it might be in May
Okay. And
It's
so when you
something-
tell her in May, why are you telling her?
because I told her that they can have to pay additional taxes because the New York City tax was not taken out.
Right. So you always have to tell her because otherwise she's not going to know to pay her taxes. Right?
Right.
So why would you hide it from her between April 20th and May whatever?
Just so I don't have to hear from her again.
Oh, I see. That's how you do business. She's too loud and too obnoxious and too nervous, so it's better for you if you don't have to deal with her and tell her about your mistake.
Yes.
Yeah, doesn't that sound like garbage when I say it out loud? Because you're a professional getting paid to do a job, right?
Okay. Yes.
I mean, come on, you have to be embarrassed. Are you embarrassed at all?
No.
Okay, first of all, you're a fool for paying her federal taxes, so you should be embarrassed about that. And second of all, you found a mistake and didn't immediately tell your client. So I would never have you do my taxes, ever. Now, what excuse do you have for not paying him $671 of your federal income taxes that you owed? What is your excuse for not paying him?
Okay. I came to Mr. Leslie to do my tax return, and he filed the wrong tax return by putting the wrong employee NAM information on
Okay, well, we're talking about like a prior year.
this year.
Okay,
But
this year. What did he do?
he put the wrong employer information on.
Okay, but that didn't cost you anything.
It did, because on April 22nd, they took out $705 out of my checking account.
I thought you were telling him that they didn't take any money out of your account.
That was besides the $671. They took additional $705.
Did they give that back to you?
Never.
But they took an additional $705
they took
because of what? Show me
$700
what you're talking about, because I don't
Absolutely.
understand what you're
Your
saying.
Honor, that's for New York
Yes.
State.
They took
Is that
out-
New York State or is that, well, it shouldn't be New York State. They should only take 200 and something, you
No,
said.
no, because the original return, there was a refund coming of 443.
And I just,
And then the amended return was 705. That's New York State return.
so it was.
Stop. Okay, you are talking about New York State. So has taken out of my checking account 705 without even knowing about it. According to your tax returns, I was supposed to be getting back 430. It's 444, which I checked online to where is my refund, and it doesn't excised. I am extremely mad. Would like to know what is going on. Please call as soon as you get this. So they did. New York took. Why did New York take $705 out of her account?
That's the amended return.
Yes, but you are telling me that the amended return caused her to have a tax liability of 200 and something.
No, that's the net. If the original return, Your Honor, she has to get a refund of 443.
She never got that.
Well, then New York State, she's going to have to call New York
No,
State.
no. New York State took out 705
Because of the amended return.
I don't understand. If they
On the IT 201.
stop and listen to me. Listen to me. I asked you what your mistake cost her. You said, well, instead of getting 444, she was going to have to pay 200 and something. I would expect to see New York State taking out 200 and something. That's not what they took out. They took out 705.
No, Your Honor.
No, they did. I'm showing it to
but
you.
I'm saying there's two returns you're going to look at there. You have an original return, IT 201, you have the exhibit, and you have an IT 201X.
Right.
On the IT 201, she will get a refund of 443.
Have you ever gotten the 400?
I got it on August 11th.
Okay, so you got it late, but you got it on August 11th. And how much did you get?
$443.
Which means that you had a tax liability for New York State of 262. I know you're angry because he doesn't know what he's doing and told you you'd get a 444 because he didn't mark a box he should have marked. I get it. And I know it's not the first mistake, but it's not his tax liability. It's your tax liability. And all of this happened, why? Because a box wasn't checked?
Yes.
Because he put the wrong employee information.
That's a different issue. Isn't that the issue with the feds?
That's the feds.
That's the feds.
issue here
So, but the
is
bottom line is that this is what you owed New York State. So I know it's not what he told you you'd get, but he doesn't owe your taxes. So in the end, you are out 262, which is what you're supposed to be out for New York State.
4 days later, I got another letter from the IRS.
And now we're talking about the feds.
That I owe $1,152 for last year's return that he made a mistake.
Okay, so let's see what happened there. Did you make a mistake on last year's return too?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Did you notify him of this?
Oh, yeah, and he said...
I guess
people
it's
make
not over yet.
mistakes.
Just came home to find this, and then you send it to him, and he says this was taken care of with the amended return. Okay, no, hold on. What you're showing me, you said was from the IRS, but it's not. It's from New York State.
I'm sorry.
So...
The front page said the IRS. I paid the IRS.
No,
the
I can't understand. Listen, I need to understand what you're saying because if I don't, I cannot sit here and deduct and figure out who owes who.
I understand.
What happened? You ended up getting a notice from the New York State Department of Taxation saying what?
That I owe them $1,152
for a prior year.
Last year's tax return.
Did you pay that?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay. Why did you owe that?
I could explain that.
Yeah, explain that.
Okay, it's on the 2020 when the federal government, when we had the pandemic, the federal government allowed taxpayer $10,200 of unemployment compensation to be exempt.
From taxes.
Correct, on the federal government. New York State was sitting on the fence with, I think it was Governor Cuomo at the time, whether they were going to...
Well, no, by the time you have to file taxes, they're no longer on a fence because they have to tell people.
No,
so what happened?
It came in after.
What happened?
So I filed it and took the exemption on New York State. The program also lead me to
I'm sorry, if New York was on the fence, why did you take an exemption? Why didn't you have her just pay it? I don't understand what you're saying.
No. The software that I use did not take the exemption in New York State because it was not finalized. So we took the exemption on New York State.
What right do you have to take the exemption and not pay taxes on that money if New York State hadn't finalized that you didn't have to pay taxes on that money?
They didn't know which way it was going to go.
Well, what do you mean? At the time you owe it, so then you get a refund later, but you can't not pay it.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff says the defendant agreed to pay for additional taxes she owes because he made a mistake on her returns, and now he's going back on his word. But the defendant says he covered the additional money the IRS took from her bank account, and because of his mistake, he has no case. Let's go back into the courtroom.
So what ends up happening is you owe the money. So apparently, thanks to that error, you had to pay an additional $78.65. That's not fair because an accountant should know not to take an exemption that hasn't been passed as an exemption. You should pay it, and then if if he decides to be generous with other people's money, he can go ahead and you can get a refund. But he should know that that's the rule. You don't get to take exemptions that don't exist, hoping they come through. So he should have to pay the $78.65. But the rest of it is something that you owe because that's what you owe. And it's the same with the federal government. Why is it, other than the fact that he keeps making mistakes, which your remedy is stop going to him, all right? But why is it that you shouldn't have to pay the $671 that for some ridiculous reason he fronted for you? That is something you should have to pay.
Because I did not know when I'm going to get the $443.
Well, you're not going to get it at all.
That he promised me that.
Yeah, he promised you. But as it turns out, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He made a mistake promising it to you, but you don't have a right to it if you don't deserve it. You understand that, right? He got too aggressive with your taxes, all right?
Yeah.
All right. So at the end of, and he forgot to mark a box on, so he forgets to mark a box. So things change. But my obligation is to see whether that change is something you owe or he owes. You owe it. The fact that he made a mistake doesn't mean he owes it. You legitimately owe it. You owed the New York State government $262. So you paid it. And if you have to pay $75 in interest, I agree with you that that's something that should come out of him. But where do you get off not paying him $671 in federal taxes?
Because first of all, I did not know that he really sent the check. He told me he sent the check, but with everything else that he lied to me about.
But didn't he show you the check?
He showed me the check, but he could have showed me a lot of other things. But it was not something, he sent me
but have you ever did you ever go to the IRS to make sure it got paid?
I did not. He sent me all the paperwork.
Okay.
And then
have you ever heard from the IRS that you owed money after this?
No, I did not.
Right, because he paid your taxes. Okay. So why would you not have to pay him the taxes that you owed the federal government?
So he sent me a letter that he's going to take me to small claim court, and I said to him, I really don't feel that I should pay you all the money because...
Yeah, and you offered to pay him how much?
So I offered to pay him $300.
Based on what?
Based on everything that I went through.
That he made you stressed out?
That I made stressed out, that I had to spend another $1,152, another $705.
Okay, stop, because you're mounting a bunch of things together that don't belong together. You received notice from New York State that you had to pay how much? 1,000 what?
$1,150.
And what happened when you received that?
I paid it right away. I told him about it.
What's the 1,000? That's for what?
That's for the 2020, Your Honor, the unemployment insurance. The $10,200 that was exempt on the feds.
So the 1,000-something is because you got aggressive and took an exemption that didn't exist.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the 262 is because you forgot to mark a checkbox. All right. But those are all monies you owe, just like the 671 is monies you owe. They're actual monies you owe for taxes. So why wouldn't he get his 671 minus 78.65 equals $592.35? Why wouldn't he get the $592.35? I'll make him pay your penalties because it was his screw up. But why wouldn't he get the rest of it, which is your tax liability?
Because I did not get the $443.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to.
I was supposed to.
No. He made a mistake. He didn't mark a box. He thought you were supposed to. Now we know you're not supposed to. You're supposed to pay $262. So I understand that you're mad at him, but we all know, you, me, him, and New York State, that you're actually supposed to pay the $262.
I have to pay the New York State, but I'm still supposed to get from them $443.
You told me you got the $430 already.
I did, but I got it on August 11th.
Okay, but that's between you and New York State.
But that's after he filed it already, so there was
then that's New York State taking too long to do what they're supposed to do. Okay, but take that out on New York State. That doesn't mean you don't have to pay federal taxes.
Okay.
I'm ordering you to pay $592.35 to the plaintiff. The only thing I'm taking out is the interest, which is your fault, and she shouldn't have to pay that. Otherwise, you're paying the plaintiff what he fronted for you. Let me give you a piece of advice. One, go more slowly.
Yes,
okay? And pay attention to what you're doing, because people put their life in your hands, and they're very nervous about it, and they want to make sure you don't screw up. And we now have 3 screw-ups by you. And 2, don't front their tax liability. This is nuts. You're a professional. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
All right? Verdict for the plaintiff in the amount that I said, the $500 and...
9 to 2:30.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails in this lawsuit. He's not going to get everything, but the bulk of what he sued for. The defendant is on her way out of the courtroom now. She's probably not very happy, but let's see what she has to say. Tamara, what do you have to say? What are you thinking?
I don't believe that I owed him that money, but the judge decided that, and that has to do.
All right. Well, listen, here's the bottom line question. You're going to use him to do your taxes again?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. I can understand that. All right. Well, that's it. You owe $592 to the plaintiff. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see what the plaintiff has to say now. Leslie's on his way out of the court. Mr. Leslie, sir, how do you feel about the judge's decision? She gave you a lecture about being more careful, you know?
Yes, I know I have to do that, but I fronted her taxes for her. There's no reason why she shouldn't repay it. I agree with the judge to take out the penalties or the interest for the 2020 because I was aggressive in the tax return. But otherwise, she is definitely liable for the taxes I fronted.
Well, I do give you credit for being a nice guy and paying her taxes. I know you thought you'd get the money back from her, but, you know, at least good for you from that perspective.
Thank
Will
you.
you do it again?
I will never front the money again for anybody.
You've learned a lesson the hard way.
Oh, yes.
All right, sir.
For sure.
So, Doug, look, this is not a malpractice case. I mean, that's what she's arguing. The fact is that she decided to try and take an exemption she wasn't entitled to. And if the IRS says no go, it's not on the accountant. She can take that chance, but if she loses, she's the one that has to pay. This is not an accountant problem.
Marilyn, have you ever been sent to the principal's office or had to serve detention? You're
know
such
how
a
far
goody
back-
two-shoes.
Do you
I'm
know
like,
how far back we have to go for that?
oh, yes. I think you probably have to go back to
50
Queens
years
to Astoria in the 60s or
Oh,
something.
no. When I was a little child, because I lived here until I was 8.
Right.
And then I moved to Miami. So, no, I would never have gotten in trouble before then. But, yeah, I served detention when I was in middle
Well,
school.
you were talking in line, and Sister Leonita hit you right on the
Sister
butt with
Leonita
that.
broke a yardstick on
your
my
butt,
behind.
That's right. So, you know.
And we were when you say we were talking in line, I was 7 years old. We were practicing for our first Holy Communion.
Right.
I was talking to a kid named Philip,
Right.
and Philip magically stopped talking back. I'm like, Philip, and then I realized nobody's talking,
Right.
and then I see the nun
Right.
walking down that, and she took her yardstick and broke it on my behind. When I came home,
Your mom wasn't happy.
my mom saw me walking funny, and she said, what happened? And I told her, and I showed her, and she walked with me, dragging me by the hand to the principal's office
Right.
to demand an apology.
She read them the riot act.
Read them the riot. No one touches my kid but me. That was
Right.
what she said.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's my right and
That's
only
my right and only my right. But no, in middle school, I'm sure I served it. It would always have been for talking. Talking.
I think I might have gotten it once or twice for being like late for homeroom or late for stuff, being tardy because
I was never tardy.
I was always in public school, but
And what? You're
were in
allowed to be
private
tardy?
school. Well, I think we got away with more. Once in 5th grade or 6th grade, I got sent to the principal's office for getting in a fight with another kid, which was kind of funny because we get to the office and I'm just blood from the top of my shirt to my pants, right? And he's just got a few spots on him from me, right? Because he got me with one really good shot in the nose. And
Who got in trouble?
we both did, of course.
Okay.
Right.